Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Podcast special edition show, college football season predictions. I'm going to go through every conference, talk about some teams, and pick who I think is going to win each conference, college football playoff, national title winner, Heisman winner, and what I think the final top 25 is going to look like. I'm going to have more predictions on next week's shows, such as my first set of bowl projections and some random bowl predictions that I might end up sharing on the end of this taping, but we'll see. All right, we'll start with the AAC, the American Athletic Conference. Winning the East Division, I have UCF, 8-4 on the season, 6-2 in conference play. Second place, I have the East Carolina Pirates, 8-4 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. South Florida, third, 6-6 on the year, 4-4 in conference play. Fourth place, Cincinnati, 7-5, 4-4. Fifth place, Temple, 6-6, 3-5. And sixth place, UConn, 1-11 and 0-8. West Division, first place, I have Houston, 9-3 on the year, 6-2 in conference play. Second place, Memphis, 9-3, 5-3. Third place, Navy, 7-5, 5-3. Fourth place, SMU, 6-6, 4-4. Fifth place, Tulane, 6-6, 4-4. Sixth place, Tulsa, 4-8, 2-6. The AAC is an interesting league this season among the group of fives. The UCF next summer I picked to win the East Division again. New quarterback Brandon Wimbush should put up some stats with weaker opponents coming over from Notre Dame. Their defense should be solid, led by star safety Richie Grant. The East Carolina Pirates will surprise folks in conference this season, led by breakout quarterback Holton Ahlers. The South Florida Bulls are a team that could be better than my projection, but I'm not in love with how their schedule breaks for them, although they'll put up a fair share of points led by quarterback Blake Barnett. The Cincinnati Bearcats will be an interesting team this season with a good coach in Luke Fickell and the solid quarterback in Desmond Rutter. The Temple Owls are an interesting team too, but I don't love that they had turnover in their coaching staff yet again, although their defense returned some guys and that'll keep them in games. The Connecticut Huskies are just a flat-out mess with Randy Edsall in his second tenure and I'll be surprised if they win a conference game this season. In the West Division, I like the Houston Cougars with new coach Dana Holgorsen and a very good quarterback in D'Eriq King. The Memphis Tigers can actually win this conference with a really good offense led by quarterback Brady White. The Navy Midshipmen will have a bounce-back season and get in the bowl with their offense being improved from a year ago, led by quarterback Malcolm Perry. The SMU Mustangs will get better too with a new quarterback in Sam Michel coming over from Texas. The Tulane Green Wave will be improved this season despite a revamped offensive line, but they have two very good receivers in Darnell Mooney and Jalen McCleskey. The Tulsa Golden Hurricane could surprise some with quarterback Zach Smith coming over from Baylor, but I'm not buying it, and Coach Philip Montgomery is on the hot seat. AAC championship game, Houston over UCF. ACC, Atlantic Division, first place Clemson, 12-0, 8-0. Second place Florida State, 9-3, 5-3. Third place NC State, 8-4, 5-3. Fourth place Syracuse, 8-4, 4-4. Fifth place Wake Forest, 8-4, 4-4. Sixth place Boston College, 6-6, 3-5. Seventh place Louisville, 4-8, 2-6. The Coastal Division. I have Pitt winning this game or this division via some tiebreakers. 8-4, I have them finishing on the year with a conference record of 5-3. Second place the Miami Hurricanes, 8-4 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Third place Virginia, 8-4 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. Fourth place Virginia Tech, 8-4 on the year, 5-3 in conference play. So a four-way tie at the Coastal Division. Tiebreakers, Pitt coming out. Fifth place Duke, 6-6, 4-4. Sixth place North Carolina, 3-9, 2-6. Seventh place Georgia Tech, 1-11, 0-8. There is no doubt about it that the reigning national champion Clemson Tigers are the team to beat in the ACC. Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in the country and has a loaded offense around him, featuring running back Travis Etienne and wideout Justin Ross. Their defense lost a lot of pieces, but defensive lineman Xavier Thomas looks like a breakout star on the defensive line. The Florida State Seminoles, I expect a big bounce-back season with running back Cam Akers back in the fold healthy, although the offensive line is not very good. The North Carolina State Wolfpack aren't a bad team at all, and their defense has 8 starters returning. The Syracuse Orange are a popular sleeper team with a good coach in Dino Babers and quarterback Tommy DeVito coming back. The Wake Forest team in Deacons can surprise folks with a favorable schedule and actually has some depth at the quarterback position. The Boston College Eagles are under some pressure to break through this season, with quarterback Anthony Brown and talented running back A.J. Dillon back in the fold. The Louisville Cardinals are in a transition period with a new coach in Scott Satterfield and not much talent on the roster. In the Coastal Division, I like a few teams, but the team I see emerging due to some projected tiebreakers and schedule breaks is the Pittsburgh Panthers. Quarterback Kenny Pickett will improve on his freshman year into his sophomore year, but the defense has a lot of questions. The Miami Hurricanes probably have the most talent in the Coastal, led by freshman quarterback Jarren Williams, and a very solid defense too. The Virginia Cavaliers are a popular pick to win the Coastal thanks to quarterback Bryce Perkins returning as well as a good defense. The Duke Blue Devils see some turnover with Daniel Jones gone and a whole new set of position guys, and some talent on defense. The Virginia Tech Hokies are a team that is seeing some turnover as well, but has some schedule breaks going in their favor. The North Carolina Tar Heels have Mack Brown back in the fold for a second tenure with the school, but he has his work cut out for him. The Georgia Tech Bulldogs also have a new coach in Jeff Collins, with his work cut out for him too. ACC Championship game, Clemson over Pittsburgh. Big Ten, East Division, first place, Ohio State, 11-1 in the year, 8-1 in conference play. Second place, Michigan, 9-3 in the year, 6-3 in conference play. Third place, Michigan State, 9-3, 6-3. Fourth place, Penn State, 7-5, 4-5. Fifth place, Maryland, 6-6, 3-6. Sixth place, Indiana, 5-7, 2-7. Seventh place, Rutgers, 1-11, 0-9. West, first place, the Wisconsin Badgers, 9-3 in the year, 7-2 in conference play. Second place, Minnesota, 8-4 in the year, 6-3 in conference play. Third place, Nebraska, 8-4, 5-4. Fourth place, Northwestern, 7-5, 5-4. Fifth place, Iowa, 7-5, 5-4. Sixth place, Purdue, 7-5, 5-4. Seventh place, Illinois, 4-8, 1-8. Yes, Urban Meyer is gone and Ryan Day is replacing him, but the Ohio State Buckeyes are my pick to win the Big Ten East Division. They have a good young transfer quarterback with Justin Fields from Georgia and still have loads of talent on the defensive side of the ball, such as talented pass rusher Chase Young. The Michigan Wolverines are the popular pick in this conference and division, with Shea Patterson returning at quarterback, but their defense lost a lot of key pieces to the NFL. The Michigan State Spartans are a sleeper team in this conference with a great coach in Mark D'Antonio and a healthy Brian Lewerke at quarterback, and they can do some damage. The Penn State Nittany Lions will take a step back due to some key departures, although this team has some upside with some talent returning on both sides of the ball. The Maryland Terrapins could be a surprise bowl team with a new coach in Mike Locksley and a solid quarterback in Justin Jackson coming over from Virginia Tech. The Hoosiers could make a bowl game, but their schedule is not favorable at all, although I think their offense will be solid, led by quarterback Peyton Ramsey. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights are just awful and are the worst Power 5 team, and coach Chris Ash could be coaching for his job. In the West Division, my pick is the Wisconsin Badgers. Running back Jonathan Taylor returns, and they have a solid defense too. The Minnesota Golden Gophers could surprise folks here with a favorable schedule, and I like their deep backfield and star wideout Tyler Johnson. The Nebraska Cornhuskers are a popular pick to win the West Division in Scott Frost's second season, and folks like sophomore quarterback Adrian Martinez. The Northwestern Wildcats are a team that won this division a year ago and tend to overachieve when expectations are lowered. But they'll miss Clayton Thorson, and the schedule is difficult. The Iowa Hawkeyes are a team that folks in this division led by quarterback Nathan Stanley, and a good defense led by pass rusher A.J. Epenza. The Purdue Boilermakers are a team that has a difficult schedule, but I'm a fan of wideout Rondale Moore and that loaded offense. The Illinois Fighting Illini are just a mess, and Lovie Smith is coaching for his job. Big Ten Championship, Ohio State over Wisconsin. Big 12, first place I have Oklahoma at 10-2, 7-2. Second place, Texas 9-3, 6-3. Third place, Baylor 9-3, 6-3. Fourth place, Iowa State 9-3, 6-3. Fifth place, Oklahoma State 8-4, 5-4. Sixth place, TCU 8-4, 5-4. Seventh place, West Virginia 7-5, 5-4. Eighth place, Kansas State 5-7, 3-6. Ninth place, Texas Tech 4-8, 2-7. 10th place, Kansas 2-10, 0-9. The Oklahoma Sooners are still the team to beat in the Big 12 after winning the conference the past 4 years. Jalen Hurts comes over from Alabama and replaces Kyler Murray, and that's a drop-off. The defense still isn't great, although new defensive coordinator Alex Grinch could bring out a lot in that unit as a whole. The Texas Longhorns are a team that people expect to improve, with quarterback Sam Ehlinger expected to make a jump. The Baylor Bears are a sleeper team that I like in this conference to make things interesting, with quarterback Charlie Brewer and a defense that returned 6 starters. The Iowa State Cyclones are another team that can make some noise. Brock Purdy returns at quarterback and the defense is solid. The Oklahoma State Cowboys are a team that could sneak up on some folks with freshman redshirt Spencer Sanders and the talent around him with running back Chuba Hubbard and wideout Tylan Wallace. The TCU Horned Frogs can't not be slept on in this conference too, since Gary Patterson can flat out coach, although there's some question marks on both sides of the ball. The West Virginia Mountaineers can surprise folks in Neil Brown's first year in Morgantown thanks to a favorable home schedule and a competent transfer in Austin Kendall from Oklahoma, despite some serious roster turnover. The Kansas State Wildcats have a new coach in Chris Kleeman, but their schedule is not favorable at all, despite quarterback Skylar Thompson returning, as well as 8 defensive starters. The Texas Tech Red Raiders also have a new coach in Matt Wells and have a rising quarterback in Alan Bowman with a good offensive line, but their schedule does not do them any favors. The Kansas Jayhawks now have Les Miles running the show, but I don't see them being irrelevant for a while. Big 12 Championship, Oklahoma over Texas. Conference USA, first place East Division, FAU 10-2, 8-0. Second place Marshall 8-4, 6-2. Third place FIU 6-6, 4-4. Fourth place Middle Tennessee 5-7, 4-4. Fifth place Old Dominion 4-8, 3-5. Sixth place Western Kentucky 3-9, 2-6. Seventh place Charlotte 3-9, 1-7. West Division, first place Louisiana Tech 9-3, 6-2. Second place Southern Miss 7-5, 6-2. Third place North Texas 7-5, 6-2. Fourth place UAB 7-5, 5-3. Fifth place UTEP 3-9, 2-6. Sixth place UTSA 3-9, 2-6. Seventh place Rice 1-11, 1-7. The Florida Atlantic Owls are my pick to win the East Division due to some key transfers coming in, such as former Florida State quarterback DeAndre Francois. The Marshall Thundering Herd should be solid again, led by rising quarterback Isaiah Green and a solid backfield. The Florida International Panthers should be good offensively, led by quarterback James Morgan. The Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders only returned 11 starters from a season ago, so they're facing a bit of a transition. The Old Dominion Demon Deacons won't be as good as the last few seasons, although they have a good transfer wideout coming in Eric Kuma. The Western Kentucky Hilltoppers are in a transition period with a new coach in Tyson Helton. The Charlotte 49ers showed flashes of improvement a season ago, but they have a difficult schedule in front of them. The Louisiana Tech Bulldogs are my pick to come out of the West Division with the favorable schedule, and an offense should be improved from a year ago with a good standout receiver in Adrian Hardy and a good defense led by defensive back Amik Robertson. The Southern Miss Golden Eagles are a team that has a very good defense which will carry them in games. The North Texas Mean Green returned their quarterback in Mason Fine and are certainly capable of winning this division and conference. The UAB Blazers, people are mixed on, but I am a fan of Coach Bill Clark, and he has a rising star quarterback in Tyler Johnston. The bottom three teams in the division, UTEP, UTSA, and Rice, are all a mess, and it'd be a surprise if one of them cracked 5 wins this season. Conference USA Championship, FAU over Louisiana Tech. Independents. I have Army at 13-2, Notre Dame at 19-3, Liberty at 7-5, BYU at 6-6, UMass at 4-8, and New Mexico State at 2-10. The Independents are interesting this season. The Army Black Knights are a team that could crack the top 25 at times this season if things break their way, led by senior quarterback Kelvin Hopkins. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish made the college football playoff a season ago, but their schedule is a lot tougher this season. Ian Buck returns at quarterback, and so does its senior-led defense. The Liberty Flames are a team with a new coach in Hugh Freeze that has a favorable schedule, but returns 15 starters. The BYU Cougars are a team that returns 17 starters, including sophomore quarterback Zach Wilson, but with a difficult schedule. They could not really feast a winning season, in my opinion. The Massachusetts Minutemen are a team that has a new coach in Walt Bell, but their schedule is difficult and they only have 7 returning starters. The New Mexico State Aggies are another team in a bit of a rebuild, and I do not see them winning more than 3 games. The MAC East Division. First place I have Ohio at 9-3, 7-1 in conference. Second place, Buffalo, 7-5 on the year, 6-2 in conference. Third place, Miami of Ohio, 5-7, 4-4. Fourth place, Kent State, 4-8, 3-5. Fifth place, Bowling Green, 3-9, 2-6. Sixth place, Akron, 3-9, 1-7. West Division, first place, Toledo, 9-3, 7-1. Second place, Northern Illinois, 6-6, 5-3. Third place, Eastern Michigan, 7-5, 5-3. Fourth place, Western Michigan, 6-6, 4-4. Fifth place, Ball State, 3-9, 2-6. Sixth place, Central Michigan, 3-9, 2-6. The MAC is a league that changes a lot in terms of the teams that reach the top. In the East Division, I have the Ohio Bobcats on top, led by senior quarterback Nathan Rourke. The Buffalo Bulls will take a step back this season with so many losses on both sides of the ball and a tougher non-conference schedule. The Miami Redbirds are a team that has a lot of questions on offense, but the defense has some key players returning. The Kent State Golden Flashes could surprise folks this season with a somewhat favorable schedule and 8 starters returning on offense. The Bowling Green Falcons and Akron Zips will be in the cellar of this division, with both teams in rebuilding situations. The Toledo Rockets are my pick to come out of the West Division, with a defense that has some key guys returning, sans an offense that sees some turnover. The Northern Illinois Huskies won this conference a season ago, but I don't see a repeat due to a roster turnover and the new coach in Thomas Hammock. The Eastern Michigan Eagles are a team that has a favorable schedule and a possible breakout candidate in Mike Glass. The Western Michigan Broncos I'm not as high on as others, although they bring back a lot, including quarterback John Wisink. The Ball State Cardinals could surprise folks with 18 starters back and have a new coach, or a coach in Mike New that's under pressure to succeed. Maybe there is a new coach there next year. The Central Michigan Chippewas have a new coach in Jim McElwain that has won in the past, but there's a lot of work to be done. MAC Championship, I have Ohio over Toledo. Mountain West. Mountain Division. First place, Boise State, 9-3, 7-1. Second place, Utah State, 8-4, 6-2. Third place, Wyoming, 6-6, 4-4. Fourth place, New Mexico, 6-6, 4-4. Fifth place, Air Force, 4-8, 3-5. 6th place Colorado State 1-11, 0-8. West. First place San Diego State 10-2, 6-2. Second place Fresno State 9-3, 6-2. Third place Nevada 6-6, 4-4. Fourth place UNLV 5-7, 4-4. Fifth place Hawaii 5-8, 3-5. Sixth place San Jose State 1-11, 0-8. Despite roster turnover at key positions, the Boise State Broncos are the team to beat in the Mountain Division. Sophomore Chase Cord will be the team's new starting quarterback, and their defense brings back 8 starters. The Utah State Aggies might take a step back this season after surprising many a year ago. Jordan Love is back at quarterback, but he'll have a lot of new faces surrounding him. The Wyoming Cowboys are a team that could be better than my projection if quarterback Sean Chambers is the real deal and the defense is still as good as people expect. The New Mexico Lobos are a team that I think can surprise folks this year with better quarterback play and key defensive stars returning, and head coach Mike Lobo is on the hot seat. The Air Force Falcons are a team people think will be better, but I'm not sold because their schedule is tough. Sans Donald Hammond III possibly breaking out at quarterback. The Colorado State Rams are a team that's going to be in a transition, replacing a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. My pick in the West Division is the San Diego State Aztecs. Their offense is still a run-first offense led by running back Jawan Washington, and their defense is still solid despite a pass rush that is questionable. The Fresno State Bulldogs won this division a year ago, and they should still be good thanks to their defense, which returns 6 starters. The Nevada Wolfpack are a team that has a lot of new faces, but a breakout candidate in Malik Henry. The UNLV Rebels are a team that can break through due to quarterback Armani Rogers returning from injury, but their schedule is not favorable. The Hawaii Rainbow Warriors could crack a bowl game with a good offense led by quarterback Cole McDonald, but I don't see it with the tough road schedule. The San Jose State Spartans are one of the worst teams in the country with so many holes on both sides of the ball. MWC Championship, Boise State over San Diego State. Pac-12, North Division. First place I have the Washington Huskies 11-1 and 8-1. Second place Stanford 10-2, 7-2. Third place Oregon 8-4, 6-3. Fourth place Washington State 7-5, 5-4. Fifth place Cal 4-8, 2-7. Sixth place Oregon State 2-10, 0-8. South, first place Utah 10-2, 7-2. Second place Arizona State 8-4, 6-3. Third place USC 7-5, 6-3. Fourth place UCLA 4-8, 4-5. Fifth place Arizona 5-7, 2-7. Sixth place Colorado 3-9, 1-8. The Pac-12 is a league where I can envision some parity. I like the Washington Huskies to win the North Division due to a favorable schedule and Georgia transfer Jacob Eason replacing Jake Browning at quarterback, but the defense only returns 2 starters. The Stanford Cardinal are a team folks are down on this season, but not me. KJ Costello returns at quarterback, and David Shaw is a coach that always gets a lot out of his players. The Oregon Ducks obviously return star quarterback Justin Herbert and have the best freshman perhaps in the country in pass rusher Kayvon Thibodeau, but they have some tricky spots on their schedule which I could see some losses. The Washington State Cougars will take a step back this season despite 6 starters returning on defense and a good transfer quarterback in Gage Gubrud. The California Golden Bears have a great coach in Justin Wilcox and a good defense led by stud linebacker Evan Weaver, but they have a tough schedule and an offense that is among the worst in the conference. The Oregon State Beavers are rebuilding with coach Jonathan Smith, but there's improvement expected in year 2. The Utah Utes are my pick to win the South Division with a nice schedule set up and quarterback Tyler Huntley and running back Zach Moss returning to lead the offense. The defense is among the best in the conference led by stud defensive back Jalen Johnson. The Arizona State Sun Devils overachieved a year ago in Herm Edwards' first season, and I think they'll be just as good, if not better, due to a defense that returns 6 starters and an offense that is solid too with a good running back in Eno Benjamin. The USC Trojans return sophomore quarterback JT Daniels, and he should lead the offense, but there is so much pressure on Clay Helton to put together a good season, or else he'll be out of a job. The UCLA Bruins should be an improved team in year 2 under Chip Kelly. I don't love their non-conference schedule draw, but their conference schedule is favorable, and the defense returns 9 starters. The Arizona Wildcats are a team that could exceed my projected win total if things broke right and Khalil Tate performs up to his capability. The Colorado Buffaloes are a team that has a new coach in Mel Tucker, but their schedule is absolutely brutal. Pac-12 Championship, Utah over Washington. The SEC, East Division, first place, Georgia, 12-0, 8-0. Second place, Florida, 8-4, 5-3. Third place, Kentucky, 8-4, 4-4. Fourth place, Missouri, 8-4, 4-4. Fifth place, Tennessee, 7-5, 3-5. Sixth place, South Carolina, 5-7, 2-6. Sixth place, Vanderbilt, 5-7, 2-6. West, first place, the Alabama Crimson Tide, 12-0, 8-0. Second place, the LSU Tigers, 9-3, 6-2. Third place, Texas A&M, 7-5, 4-4. Fourth place, Auburn, 7-5, 3-5. Fifth place, Mississippi State, 7-5, 3-5. Sixth place, Ole Miss, 5-7, 2-6. Seventh place, Arkansas, 5-7, 1-7. The SEC is the most top-heavy conference in terms of good teams. The Georgia Bulldogs are the obvious choice here to win the East Division, with Jake Fromm back as well as running back DeAndre Swift and transfer wideout Demetrius Robertson. Their defense is loaded too, led by stud safety J.R. Reed. The Florida Gators have a nice first year under Dan Mullen. Key returnees involve quarterback Felipe Franks plus a loaded group of running backs and receivers on offense and cornerback Marco Wilson on defense. The Kentucky Wildcats are a team that lost so much on both sides of the ball but has a favorable schedule, and Trey Wilson could be a breakout quarterback. The Missouri Tigers unfortunately have a postseason ban this season, but will be a tough out this year with Clemson transfer Kelly Bryant coming in at quarterback and a good offensive line to back him up. The Tennessee Volunteers in year 2 under Jeremy Pruitt should be interesting, with expected improvement from quarterback Jared Garantano. The South Carolina Gamecocks have talent on their roster, such as quarterback Jake Bentley, with a few talented returning starters on defense. The schedule makers did zero favors for this year. The Vanderbilt Commodores have some key skilled position players returning, but quarterback Kyle Shermer is gone. The Alabama Crimson Tide are the obvious pick to win the West Division, as always. Quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is back and poised after a rough national championship game that proved some people he's still awesome. Jerry Jeudy is the best wideout in the country, and Najee Harris is a darn good running back. The Tides' defense is not as great, although they returned some key guys such as cornerback Trevon Diggs and linebacker Terrell Lewis. The LSU Tigers are a team that folks are high on this season too. Joe Burrows returns at quarterback to lead the offense, and the defense is absolutely led by star safety Grant Delpit. The Texas A&M Aggies have such a brutal schedule this season, sans all the talent Jimbo Fisher has, such as quarterback Kellen Mond. The Mississippi State Bulldogs are a team seeing a lot of roster turnover, such as a new quarterback coming in and Penn State transfer Tommy Stevens, who head coach Joe Moorhead knows from his days as Penn State's offensive coordinator. The Ole Miss Rebels are a team that is in an interesting spot, with new coach Matt Luke hiring former coaches in Rich Rodriguez and Mike McIntyre to be their offensive and defensive coordinators respectively, and I do like quarterback Matt Corral as a possible breakout candidate. The Arizona Razorbacks are a team that is in transition under Chad Morris that has two interesting options at quarterback who both happen to be transfers. SEC Championship game. Georgia over Alabama. Sun Belt Conference. East Division, first place, Appalachian State, 9-3, 6-2. Second place, Troy, 7-5, 5-3. Third place, Georgia Southern, 7-5, 5-3. Fourth place, Coastal Carolina, 4-8, 3-5. Fifth place, Georgia State, 2-10, 1-7. West Division, first place, Arkansas State, 9-3, 7-1. Second place, Louisiana, 7-5, 5-3. Third place, Yale Monroe, 6-6, 5-3. Fourth place, Texas State, 3-9, 2-6. Fifth place, South Alabama, 1-11, 0-8. In the East Division, I expect the Appalachian State Mountaineers to emerge as the winners. New head coach Eli Drinkwitz comes in and has a good quarterback to work with in Zach Thomas. The Troy Trojans also have a new coach in Chip Lindsey and have 12 starters returning, including running back B.J. Smith and linebacker Carlton Mateo. The Georgia Southern Eagles were a big surprise last year, but they have a harder schedule, although they have 12 returning starters. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers return 12 starters, although they need consistent quarterback play if they are to improve on their 5-7 mark from a season ago. The Georgia State Panthers are a team that expects improvement, with quarterback Dan Ellington expected to take the next step. My pick to win the West Division is the Arkansas State Red Wolves. My pick to win the West Division is the Arkansas State Red Wolves, thanks to a defense that returns a lot of starters and skill position guys returning, as well as a new quarterback. Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns are a team that has questions on defense and has competition for the quarterback job. The Louisiana Monroe Warhawks should reach a bowl game thanks to returning quarterback Caleb Evans. The Texas State Bobcats are expecting some improvement thanks to transfer quarterback Gretch Jensen. The South Alabama Jaguars return only 9 starters and have uncertainty at quarterback. Sun Belt Championship, Appalachian State over Arkansas State. All right. Here's what I think the college football playoff final rankings will look like. Number 1, the Georgia Bulldogs. I think they'll have an advantage courtesy with better wins. I think they'll beat Alabama in the SEC title game. They'll have a win over Notre Dame. They'll have a win over Florida, a win over LSU, and some other notable wins that will make them the number 1 overall seed. 2, the Clemson Tigers. The ACC is weaker than the SEC, so I have Clemson bumped down to 2. 3, the Ohio State Buckeyes. I have the Buckeyes winning their conference. And number 4, the Alabama Crimson Tide. So 2 SEC schools in the college football playoff for the second time in 3 years. 5, I have Oklahoma. 6, Utah. 7, Washington. 8, Stanford. 9, LSU. 10, Notre Dame. 11, Wisconsin. 12, Michigan. 13, Texas. 14, Michigan State. 15, Baylor. 16, Iowa State. 17, Florida State. 18, Boise State. 19, Houston. 20, Nebraska. 21, Memphis. 22, Oregon. 23, Arizona State. 24, Minnesota. 25, San Diego State. So the college football playoff semifinal. 1 seed Georgia Bulldogs versus 4 seed Alabama Crimson Tide. I do have Jake Fromm and the Bulldogs over Tua Tagovailoa and the Tide in the SEC championship game. But here in the rematch, I see Nick Saban making adjustments and getting a big-time win over his former employer and Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs. So the prediction, Alabama. 2-seeded Clemson Tigers versus the 3-seed Ohio State Buckeyes. No, this game won't be a shutout win for Clemson like it was a few years back. But I do expect the Tigers, led by Trevor Lawrence, to sneak by the Buckeyes and Justin Fields. Prediction, Clemson. National Championship. 2-seeded Clemson Tigers versus the 4-seeded Alabama Crimson Tide. Here we go, round 4 on the biggest stage. The Tigers obviously should be favorites in this spot after winning it last season, led by Trevor Lawrence. The Crimson Tide will have a chip on his shoulder all season long, with Tua Tagovailoa leading the way to go with Najee Harris and Jerry Jeudy, and Nick Saban will win his 7th national title with the Crimson Tide as he will cement himself perhaps as the greatest coach in the history of college football. Prediction, Alabama, your 2019-20 national champions. All right. I'm going to do some miscellaneous bold predictions around the sport. I'm going to do one per conference. My bold prediction for the AAC, I'm going to say that the UConn Huskies fire Randy Edsall after his second tenure there and winning one game. The ACC bold prediction, I'm going to say that the Syracuse Orange hosts game day in their matchup against Clemson. The Big Ten bold prediction, I'm going to say that Penn State takes a step back and they go 7-5 like I predicted. Because there's a lot of people that think that they're like a 9-3, 10-2 type of team. I think they take a step back for 1 year and then they'll be back and good again in 2020. So I think this is a 1 year step back for Penn State. That's what I'm calling for here. The Big 12. I'm going to say that the Red River rivalry, Texas wins the Cotton Bowl again, but Oklahoma obviously in the Big 12 title game rematch. Conference USA. I think that Lane Kiffin leaves for a bigger job. Independence. Army will be ranked in the AP poll at some point this season. MAC. I'm going to say that both Ohio and Toledo will crack the top 25, whether it's the college football playoff or the AP poll. Mountain West. Boise State comes very close to upsetting Florida State in week 1, but doesn't, because the Seminoles have a home field advantage in that game in Jacksonville. Pac-12. USC fires Clay Helton and hires Iowa State's Matt Campbell. That is such an easy prediction, well, the Helton part, but picking who his replacement is wasn't really the easy part. So I settled in on Iowa State's Matt Campbell, who will be the hot commodity like Tom Herman was a few years ago before he ended up with Texas. And I believe I predicted Herman to Texas as well. And it's funny because everybody knew Charlie Strong was fired before the year. This is the same way with Clay Helton. Like, he's gonzo. Absolutely gonzo. And Matt Campbell, I think there will be reports that it's a done deal before it is actually a done deal. Like, Iowa State will still be playing in November, and you'll be hearing on Black Friday that Matt Campbell's going to USC. SEC. I already gave it away. It's that Alabama and Georgia face each other twice, once in the SEC title game and once in the college football playoff. And Georgia wins round 1 and wins the number 1 overall seed for the college football playoff. But Bama gets them in the playoff. Sun Belt Bowl prediction. I think that Appalachian State will upset North Carolina this year and Mac Brown. And it's not really going to be an upset because I think Appalachian State will be favored in that game, so it won't even be considered an upset. But some people will still look at it as an upset because it's Power 5 school losing to Group of 5 Sun Belt school. So those are my bold predictions for the 2019 college football season. Maybe I'll have more in my second predictions podcast. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, folks.